So the Biden administration getting called out for ignoring what parents want while pushing their equity agenda in classrooms. Republican Glenn Youngkin defending the parents' rights policy that he instituted in Virginia.
Parents have a fundamental right to be engaged in their children's lives. And oh, by the way, children have a right to have parents engaged in their life. And we needed to fix a wrong. Children don't belong to the state. They belong to families. And so in these most important decisions, step one has to be to engage parents, not to the exclusion of a trusted teacher or an advisor, but to make sure that parents are involved in their children's lives. This is not controversial.
Meanwhile, Biden's education secretary coming under fire by parent groups, and advocates who say the Department of Education is handing out millions of dollars to focus on wellness and equity instead of actual, academics. It's because Secretary Cardona wants to, quote, reimagine our schools through a more equitable lens and raise the bar for how we serve students who too often get left behind. Greg, nobody's against helping students who get left behind, but I don't know if the equitable lens is the reason.
It's no surprise there's a decline in literacy that it's coinciding with this equity crusade, because equity is not about giving everybody a leg up. It's about making from above, as Kamala said, everyone end up in the same place, right? That's what she says. So if Jack can't read, it's better if we just make sure Jill doesn't read much better than he does. And that's equity. That's the opposite of opportunity. So you see this everywhere. Getting rid of grading scales in some schools, honors classes, AP courses, extra credit. Some people aren't looking at SATs anymore. It's because those things reveal an inequality in outcomes, right? Which is the essence of freedom. If people are free enough to exercise their individual differences, there is going to be different outcomes, right? So anytime you try to flatten that thing down, which is equity, that's an attack on freedom. And it's not, it's inhuman. So I think that's why you're going to see people get worse and worse scores, because that's the only way you can keep people equal.
And remember when Glenn Youngkin was running, one of his biggest applause lines at events was he said that I will make sure that advanced math is offered in every school. And there was huge applause. Jessica, education doesn't always show up in the polls as a top issue, especially when crime and inflation are at the top of mind. But from your research, your knowledge, do you think that Democrats are vulnerable on this issue of education?
We're down to just a 6-point advantage, and we're usually well into the double digits. So there obviously has been some movement there. I think Glenn Youngkin obviously has created a pretty good playbook for Republicans and how to talk about this. And I've mentioned on the show before that even though for some people CRT or woke policies was the issue, he was talking about the brass tacks of getting kids in school maskless to be able to work with teachers and to learn. He wasn't talking about all the other peripheral stuff that would then persuade a moderate or maybe a conservative Democrat to come out and support a Republican. I think the implications of Terry McAuliffe's comment during that race, where he said that the kids don't belong to, right, the kids are part of the system, is going to ripple potentially for decades, right? This is so fundamental to how parents feel about their kids' education, no matter who you vote for. And I think that Democrats should be running aggressively on it to talk about how they're going to improve public education, because Republicans consistently fall back on, we want to give you options. Take your $7,000 and go to a charter school. But people believe in the public education system. They want their public schools to be better.
Also be good.
Right.
Judge, what do you think of that?
I don't know. I think that it's not just what Terry McAuliffe said. It was really a insight into what the teachers' unions are thinking. There's something called in loco parentis. That means, obviously, when the parent is not around, a teacher can be there and educate the children. But that is in no way superior to or even equal to a parent. And so the concept that we have to literally fight for a parental rights policy is absurd. And it's part of this whole movement that we're experiencing with wokeness and social justice and with the pandemic. The kids aren't learning. Crime is going up. We don't have as much money. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. And we've got to pull back at some point. And whether or not it's going to a charter school or a religious school or taking your money, the money follow the child. The schools don't own the kids. They think they do because they get money from the government. The more kids they have, the more money they get. Let's not kid each other. Let's also not kid each other that the billions that they got, they haven't spent yet. They should have to give that money back. Where is it? What did you do with it? And, we want it back if you didn't need it, and the schools are open.
Do you think Republicans are pressing their, at least, maybe it's not a complete advantage yet, but they're certainly gaining momentum on this issue?
Youngkin is, DeSantis is. I like those two guys. I also like Carrie Lake. She's really warming up to me. Or I am warming up to her.
I think that way.
Yeah, she doesn't know you exist.
Could be both.
She definitely knows.
The schools have lost their mission. Let's just say Jesse Jr. tries out for the football team. And instead of doing tackling drills and 7-on-7s, the coach separates the black players from the white players. And then he makes all the linemen who can't catch play wide receiver and spends the rest of the practice moaning about how the girls aren't on the football team. Do you think that team's going to win any games? Do you think that team's going to have fun? Do you think any of those players are going to get recruited to play Division I football? No. That's what they've done. They've lost the mission. And people like Youngkin are pressing the advantage because they're saying the parents are the customers. And there is an old saying that the customer is always right. And he was crafty the way he said it. He said, just listen to the parents.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the parents to be annoying and start screwing around in the classrooms and annoying the teachers. He just says address their concerns. But the teachers are saying, you know what? You can't afford to send your kid to private school. We got you by the you-know-what. We own your child, and that's that. And have you seen how much money your property taxes are? So we're paying so much money in property taxes for schools where the test scores go down, and that has to change.
Agreed. All right, up next, Kamala Harris accused of some serious hypocrisy over President Biden's latest move on marijuana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.